Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show.
Cup of Joe Wrestling Show?
With Joey Harris. A podcast for the wrestling fan on the go. So take your favorite beverage of choice and join Joey as he takes a look at some of the biggest shows on the WWE Network.
Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show. I am your host, Joey Harris, and we are broadcasting from makeshift studios in the shadow of South Central Virginia. You can follow the show on Twitter at Cup of Joe Pod. Email the show at cupofjoewrestlingshow@gmail.com. If you like the show, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts. I would really appreciate it, and it helps people to find the show. And folks, have you ever done something in your favor and then forgotten about it? That happened to me just this week. Got a notice from the DMV, and when we bought my wife's car, we kept the same tag, the same license plate. And a few weeks ago, we got a notice and it said that she needed to renew her registration. I'm like, okay. And I put it to the side, and so we got a notice this week. And I told my wife, I said, man, I forgot. We got another notice from the DMV, and I opened up the mail today, and I had forgotten that I had already renewed the car, and these were our new registration stickers and new registration. So something in my favor. That never happens to me, but it did this time, so I'm thankful for it. Today we look at the episode of WCW Power Hour from August the 8th, 1992. And why are we looking at this? Well, it tells us why right from the start. The show is hosted by Jim Ross. Ross announces that Ron Simmons is the new world's champion. Jake Roberts has assaulted Sting, and the war between Rick Rude and Nikita Koloff continues on the Power Hour. We then go to our intro. Our first match, Van Hammer versus Joe Cruz. Dear Lord, why would anyone want to start their Saturday with Van Hammer? Cruz with the early advantage. Hammer comes back with a wrist lock. Cruz gets to the ropes, back and forth. Hammer just awkward and bad. He gets the pin after a hammerlock suplex, which is Tully Blanchard's old slingshot move. We then go to Missy Does the Mail. She says she's going to have the first interview with Ron Simmons later. Jushin Liger versus Chris Sullivan. Sullivan gets a side headlock. Liger pushes off and gets Sullivan down. He hits a cannonball and gets Sullivan down again. Sullivan trying to come back. Liger hits a powerbomb and another cannonball off the top rope. Cartwheel to Sullivan gets a 2 count. Liger hits a pile driver on Sullivan. Liger with a corner whip and a drop kick to Sullivan. Liger knocks Sullivan out of the ring with a spinning heel kick and then a suicide dive on Sullivan. He pins Sullivan after a second rope moonsault. JR flashes back to the previous Sunday in Baltimore. Rick Rude versus Nikita Koloff. Sting is on commentary with JR. Koloff dominating on Rude and keeps getting 2 counts. The referee is knocked out. Cactus Jack comes in and attacks Koloff with a chair. Sting comes in to save Koloff. He picks Rude up and throws him on Cactus Jack. Jake Roberts comes out of the crowd and attacks Sting. He attacks Sting with a chair and hits him with a short clothesline. He then DDTs Sting on the chair a couple of times. He goes to open his bag, but the other faces come out to drive him off. Because Sting was injured, he was unable to compete against Vader later in the evening. Bill Watts comes out with some of the top contenders. They go to pull the name out of the sack. Rick Rude demands that he get added to the list. Ron Simmons' name is pulled and he wants his match now. Harley Race comes to the ring to complain that it's not right that Vader has to wrestle an opponent he wasn't ready for, but Watts says it's going to happen. WCW World Heavyweight Championship match. Big Van Vader with Harley Race versus Ron Simmons. Joined in progress. Vader bashing Simmons in the corner. Simmons reverses it and starts hitting Vader. He beats Vader down in the corner, and the fans absolutely love that he did that. They are solidly on Team Simmons here. Simmons hits a clothesline and a belly-to-back suplex to Vader. They then cut to Vader beating Simmons down in the corner again. Back and forth in the corner. Vader with a corner whip and a splash. Vader follows it up with a big clothesline to Simmons. He then Vader bombs Simmons, but only gets a 2 count. They cut to Vader setting Simmons up for a powerbomb, but Simmons slips behind Vader and catches Vader in a power slam to pin Vader to become the new WCW World Heavyweight Champion. This kid down front jumps to his feet and is so happy that Simmons won. The crowd goes insane when Simmons is announced as the winner. The kid in the crowd is crying. The other faces come out and celebrate with Simmons and strap the belt around his waist. Missy talks more about the win. They throw it to Tony Schiavone interviewing Ron Simmons. He says this is a dream come true for him. He said it was an opportunity that came up and he took advantage. He said that he is going to represent the championship. He was on the top of his game. Anyone who wants it can come and get it. Missy then recaps the end of the TV title match between Steve Austin and Ricky Steamboat. Paulie throws something to Austin, but Steamboat gets it and hits Austin with it and pins Austin. They cut to referee Nick Patrick disqualifying Steamboat, and Austin wins. Brian Pillman and the Z-Man versus Greg Valentine and Dick Slater. Pillman and Slater start, back and forth. Pillman with a hip lock. Slater comes back with a side headlock takeover. Pillman responds with an enziguri. Zink tagged in. He goes back and forth with Slater. They lock up and Zink forces the break on the ropes. Valentine tagged in. He works on Zink's arm. Zink with a hammerlock. Valentine responds with a back elbow and gets Zink in the corner. He chops Zink. Valentine with a corner whip. Zink avoids the charge and comes back with a crossbody for a 2 count. Zink with some drop kicks for another 2 count and Pillman tagged in. He gets an armbar on Valentine. Into a hammerlock. Valentine comes back with chops and forearms. Pillman knocked to the outside. Pillman up on the apron and Valentine gets him back in with a belly-to-back suplex. Slater tagged in. Slater with an Irish whip and a back elbow and gets a 2 count. Pillman trying to get away. Back and forth. Zink tagged in and a double drop kick to Slater. Zink covers, but the referee was getting Pillman out, and Valentine pulls Zink off of Slater. Slater with a belly-to-back suplex. Valentine tagged in and hit Zink with an elbow to the second rope. He drops another elbow and a backbreaker for another 2 count. The crowd encouraging Zink with a Let's Go Z-Man, Let's Go chant. Slater tagged in. Slater gets a Boston Crab, but Let's Go and Pillman tagged in and takes on both heels. Slater out on the apron. Pillman goes to suplex Slater back in, but the Barbarian comes out and trips Pillman. The referee sees it and the heels are disqualified. Dustin Rhodes comes out and attacks the Barbarian. Now all 6 going at it and Barbarian hits a top rope headbutt to Pillman as Slater was holding Pillman. JR previews what's coming up on WCW Saturday night before signing off from the Power Hour. We then get our end credits. Final thoughts. A quick-paced show. The Simmons win was epic and the show never dragged. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TheJoeyHarris. You can support the show at paypal.me/cupofjoepod. Thank you for joining me this week. This is Joey saying so long from the heart of Virginia.
The Cup of Joe Wrestling Show is a production of Baby Kangaroo Media.